Olivia,
I'm so happy to see you all. So happy to be together again to meditate in level 3. I think you're going to love this level. And those of you who are here, you're really invested in your practice. You've been meditating with the New Lineage Taoist tradition for 2 years. And so I believe you'll get a lot out of this year. So without further ado, I'll hand the meeting over to Dr. Mao. Thank you for being here, Dr. Mao, on this sunny, summery day.
Oh, yes, it's my great pleasure and thank you. I'm always so inspired by, the dedication of our group, and it's just truly incredible. You guys have, made it to level 3, and it means that you have put in a good solid 2 years of hard work and dedication, and this is beginning of our 3rd year. And obviously many of you have done meditation in your own tradition or other kind of traditions for many years. So I very much appreciate your efforts. So okay, the symbiosis with nature, which is what we'll be focused on with the this level 3 pillar 1, and it's a continuation, furthering this how to connect deeply with nature. And obviously this is of most importance to us. The tradition of the Taoists have always been naturalists. This is the reason that explains why historically you found Taoist hermits up in the mountains cultivating as close to nature as possible without the interference of the so-called worldly life, the distractions. And the reason is that the observation is that humans have lost their way, and by divorcing from nature, and by sort of if you will, pushing without consciousness headlong into, let's say, technology, which of course it's surrounded our world today, and the concrete jungles of cities. If we think about what is happening, the world population is migrating to cities and abandoning rural areas. And so what we see is these mega cities forming with 20-30 million people. And it's estimated that by 2050, these mega cities, we may see 50-60 million people in these mega cities, the sprawl. And it's it will not be a pretty sight, as we saw what happened during the pandemic, that the high density cities, where populations, they were exploding, people living on top of one another, really got decimated very quickly, but affected by the pandemic. Case in point, New York City, the bodies piling up during the beginning, the first few months of the pandemic was just very difficult to fathom and watch. But that is what's going to happen. So as people forsake nature and move to these sprawling metropolitan areas with lots of people, lots of cars, lots of concrete and all that, we become farther dissociated from nature. This is where we come from. And when we do that, we will literally lose our connection, lose our way. And technology is wonderful because it does enable everyone, no matter where you are in the world, if you have a way to connect, be it satellite or cable or cell signal, you can now live relatively in rural areas of the world. So, that's why in some of my past talks, I have advocated for all of us to begin to migrate in the other direction and not follow the herd into the city. And so, get back closer to nature. And that's really what this is about. And these practices will remind us of that, remind us to constantly, being mindful of the source of our origin and to use the energies. It's kind of like plants seeking water with its roots. We too need to do the same with what we do. So now today in level 3. I'll just kind of refresh everyone's memory here, right? And so level 1, right? We focus on the North Star, the sun and moon. That was the very first introduction, right? This symbiosis with nature. We looked up in the sky and we saw, we have the sun representing father and paternal energy. We saw the moon representing maternal energy, our mother, and then the North Star, our spiritual guide, the source of our spiritual existence. And so we learn to bring these energies into our being and obviously build a connection to the North Star and so forth. So, and then in level 2, we then practice our symbiosis with trees, and so that's what we spend our time doing, is really connecting with trees. Trees are living beings, and they are a conduit to the heaven and earth energies, just like we are as intermediate vessels, and they too are the same. And so we are using this connection with the trees to restore the awareness of the heaven and earth energy. And then in level 3, we will go back and reconnect with the sun and moon as we did in the first level. But we are now going to be experiencing an alchemy of the yin and yang energies, or the fire and water energies, which then will produce a product, and that product is rain. And the interesting part about rain, it's a wonderful analogy. If we think about how rain is made, it's perfectly alchemical. So let's think about how rain comes about. Well, so first there is the sun. So with this fire energy upon the water of the earth, right? So again, yin and yang energy. So this yang energy acting on the yin energy, this intercourse between two energies, produces evaporation. So the evaporation from the Earth's surface, whether it is the ocean or the lake or even just plants itself, right? Creates this evaporation, which converts into a gas form, water. So now water is in this gas form, very light, and it floats up into the sky as water vapors. And then the water vapors gather and turns into clouds. And then as the temperature cools and condenses, right, then what it does is it then now turns back from the gas state into the liquid state, which is water, of course, or when it's really cold, then it turns into ice or snow. And so this, and then of course the rain or snow drops back down onto the surface of the earth. And then of course the action of the sun repeats the process of more evaporation, and then evaporation into clouds, and then condensation into water droplets and back down. So there is this cyclical alchemical process that happens in nature, where we know it happens. We don't have to really do much for it to happen. It just continually happens. And if in fact it doesn't happen, then we have drought. And we all know what happens with drought. Drought will cause tremendous damage to crops and livelihood. And so what ends up happening, of course, is that unless there is this balance in our ecosystem between the fire, which is the sun, and the water, which is on the earth's surface, and the yin and yang energies must continually be in a harmonious way in order to produce this byproduct called rain, which is nourishing, and it nourishes everything. And so from an alchemical standpoint within our human body, what's happening? And so the yin and yang energy, or the fire water energy, interacts and creates this nourishing rain. And within the body, this rain is the nectar. When we talk about the nectar, we talk about the fluid secretion throughout our body. And what are the fluid secretions? Well, we can start from the top of our head in the pineal gland, which is just right in our forehead here, right? The pineal gland secretes melatonin, which helps to regulate the sleep and the clock, the biological clock. And then behind it, deeper into the brain, we have pituitary. It secretes cream of growth hormone, and it secretes all the commanding hormones to thyroid, to pancreas, to ovaries, to uterus, to testes, and all the other glands to produce their respective hormones. So it starts, all these fluids, and then the saliva in our mouth, we call it jing jing yu ye, so golden, and jade nectar, if you will, golden fluid and jade nectar, and then the secretion of the stomach acid, the gastric enzyme, the juice, the secretion of mucus when you ovulate for a female, and that mucus actually helps the sperm to find the follicle, the egg, and similarly the seminal fluid in which the sperm travels in from ejaculation also helps to lubricate the way of union between the sperm and the egg, which of course produces life form. And so there are all these fluids that are being secreted in the body that all are really considered, symbolically represented by this rain that we see in nature. Like rain is so important, for sustenance, and within our human body, that's the rain in which is what we're producing. So here's what happens as you get older. Unfortunately, if you don't practice, what happens? You dry up, right? And I joke sometimes, and it's inappropriate, so don't get offended if I offend you. But when we're young, we are like a plum, and many people, as they get older, they become like a prune. And so the only difference really between the two, they're the same fruit, really, but a prune is a dry plum. And so all we have to do is put some juice back into the prune and you'll have a plum. And so I am hopefully inspiring you to put juice back into your prune. Sorry, that was really bad. I apologize. It's I just think it's such an easy process, and yet so few people take the time to do it. And so when you can master this interplay between water and fire energy within your being, you can suddenly you see like, oh my God, my mouth is no longer dry. I feel so much more lubricated. I feel like I'm youthful and young and plump again. That's exactly what we're doing. Okay, so that's what the meditation is going to do on a practical level, and but on a oh, thank you. I love your um, photo here. Yeah, see the plum and the prune. Yes, let's not become the prune. Let's all get back to being a plum. So so that's it. So the process is going to be very similar. So what you're going to be doing, I just want to kind of explain it. So as I'm narrating and taking you through it, that you have a sense of what we're trying to do, right? And so what happens? We have the three dantians, right? And so what's going to happen is that there is going to be a different level of heating that is going to happen, right? So the sun energy is going to move from the top, and as it moves down, right, we're going to see the if you will, the heat acting on the water and evaporating. So that evaporation, the water vapor will rise to the top, and as it rises to the top, so now, if you think about it, right? So the sun is now actually in the lower dantian, whereas the moon or this water vapor has risen to the top, and this is where the rain then begins to be formed, right? Because that's the rain cloud, and then the rain begins to get heavier and heavier, and then it drops down into fills the upper dantian, middle dantian, and back down to lower dantian. So it just continually cycle and so forth. And so this is how it's going to work within your body as well, as we are doing this circulation. Okay. All right. Any questions about kind of like the concept behind the practice of this level before we actually go and do the practice? No, we're good. Okay. All right, then let's go get started then. Okay. So let's align our posture. Okay, prepare your body for meditation like you've done always by adjusting your spine, right? Pull the spine so that it's long, like a river, so that you feel the flow without blockage. And yet your body is perfectly relaxed. And then either clasp your hands in the pelvic area or just resting them on the top of your thighs. And turn your tongue so that the lower part of your tongue is pressed up against the upper roof of your mouth and bridging the Ren and Du channel, the conception and the governing channels. And now let's go and focus on your breath for a second. And while we are breathing naturally through the nose only, and as you breathe in, feel the abdomen inflate and fill up. And as you breathe out, feel the abdomen contract and deflate. And slow down your breathing, make it long, deep, and slow. And bring that breath into not just your abdomen, but as you continue with the practice, you feel it fill up in your feet, in your hands, and your whole being. And then as you exhale, let go of stress, tension, and worry and toxins. And be sure that you exhale completely. So that means that you must empty all the way before you can refill. And now let's focus on the mind for a second. What we try to practice is a relaxed intent. And so what this means is that we have an intention as we are visualizing, but we are also relaxed. So we're not so uptight about anything. So it's this relaxed intent that you also trying to train your mind. Instead of resisting the thoughts that come, you let them come. And without resistance of holding on, you also let them go. So that as the thoughts come and go, they're like clouds moving across the sky. They enter, but then they disappear. And whenever you find your mind wanting to wander off somewhere, just gently pull it back to your meditation. If it makes it easier so you don't fall asleep, just lower your gaze and let some light come through the crack in your eyelids. Or if you feel like you can stay awake, then you can close your eyes completely. And now bring your awareness to your lower dantian in the abdomen. Take a deep breath and feel your lower dantian. And then exhale. Inhale. Now bring your awareness into your middle dantian, chest. Just be here and now and notice what you feel. And exhale. Inhale. Bring your awareness into your upper dantian, in the forehead. And exhale. And now in your upper dantian, the crystal palace, open up your Tianmu, heavenly eye, and welcome in the light of the North Star. As the light bridge forms, the white light of the North Star beams directly, filling up your crystal palace, and you feel the permeation of this benevolent white light filling completely your upper dantian of your crystal palace. And then move down to fill up your middle dantian, your entire chest cavity, And as it spills out down your arms to your fingertips. And then finally filling up your lower dantian, as well as allow the light to fill all the way to the feet, the tips of your toes, the bottom of your feet. Feel the oneness, the connection to the source of your spiritual essence. And now let's reach out to the sun above us with its bright golden light, warm. And inhale this time with your mouth. Inhale the golden light into your upper dantian, and then swallow. Then exhale as you fill up your entire upper dantian with this warm, bright, golden sunlight. Inhale through your mouth once again, as we shall do through the rest of this practice. And the exhale is through your nose. Bring the golden sunlight into your middle dantian, your chest. As you feel the warmth penetrate the heart and your lungs and parts of your upper stomach, every part of your chest feels warm by the golden light. Swallow the solar energy and then exhale through your nose. Inhale through your mouth the sun's golden light into your lower dantian in the pelvic area. And as you feel the warmth radiating throughout your abdomen, down into your legs, swallow and then exhale through your nose, but feel the warmth all the way down to your legs. Feel that intense heat, fire energy from the sun within your entire being, from head to toe, in your heart and the abdominal areas, your sexual centers in your pelvic area. Feel the sun in the palms of your hands. Feel the golden light in the soles of your feet and just underneath your skin, and deeply as well within your organs and in your bone marrow. Feel the yang qi, the yang energy, within every inch of your being. And for a moment, just focus here. Experience pure yang, pure fire, pure golden, warm light. And now we bring our attention back to the upper dantian in our crystal palace. And here we receive and connect with the light of the moon, the representative of the maternal yin energy. Feel the cool beams of light from the moon, as you have often done on a full moon night when you gazed up into the heavens and you felt the coolness of the moon wash over you. As the moon can move vast oceans filled with water, the lakes, the river, as the human being is a microcosm of the universe, and the fact that the earth is covered in 70% water, so is our bodies filled 70% with water. The moon represents pure yin, the water energy. Inhale through your mouth as you draw in the moonlight, the cool moonlight to fill the entire upper dantian, the crystal palace, with this moonlight. Swallow and then exhale through your nose. Inhale through your mouth. Draw in the cool, heavy, watery, reflective, flowing moonlight into the middle dantian of your chest. Swallow and then exhale through your nose. Inhale through your mouth, draw in the lunar energy of pure yin and filling up your entire lower dantian in your abdomen with this heavy, cool, and substantial energy. Swallow and exhale through your nose. And allow this yin energy to settle and permeate into every part of your being, from head to toe, from chest to fingertips, and from skin to the bones. Feel yourself in complete, pure yin energy in the light of the moon. And now we move back up to the upper dantian. And here we reconnect with the sun energy and feel the intense heat as you feel your temperature rising in the upper dantian. And this energy, this heat energy, acts on the water energy of the moon, which is now in the middle and lower dantian. As this energy begins to rise, the heat energy descends to the lower part. So as you feel the evaporating of the water energy and floating upward to the sky, which of course is the upper dantian. We feel the coolness overcoming the upper dantian. And this energy gathers, becomes heavier and heavier. And now you feel the moisture forming, becoming heavier, drizzle downward from the upper to the middle to the lower. As we had pointed out to you earlier, this visual of all these hormones being produced in the brain in the upper dantian, and now they are sending signals downward to all the other glands distributed throughout the middle and the lower part of your trunk. And feel this heavy moisture and drizzle moving down from the head, through the face, the neck, inside our bodies, as well as the front and back, and down through our arms and our legs. These are nectar, experiencing this nectar within your being as being produced by the interaction between the yin and yang, water and fire energy. Continue the downward movement of these fluids. It's like a light drizzle within your being, nourishing, cleansing, restoring every part, refreshing, enlivening. Just as the rain moistens the earth and then reaches the roots of all trees and vegetation, nourishing each plant. The fluids within our body moves and circulates and delivers not only nutrients, but the essence, the jing, the essential fluids that hormones communicate with glands. This transformation of the sun and the moon, the yin and yang, the fire and water energy is part of a alchemical process of water and fire. It's regenerative, just as nature is regenerative. So are we as children of nature. And take a moment just to experience the cycle of making rain. And starting back to the upper dantian, feel the intense yang energy of the sun increasing the heat and the fire in the upper body. And this heat acts on the water of the lower and middle dantian, evaporating the water energy as it rises up to the top of your body as water vapors. The heat moves down to take the place of the cool water energy. So now the heat is below and the coolness is above. And in many ways, this is also what fuels the movement of the microcosmic orbit as the energy gets pushed up, passing through the three gates, then to Baihui on top of our head. And then the energy travels downward as the cooler energy descends to the middle and the upper dantian, along with the fire that starts on top and moves down, and then displacing the water energy as it rises. So there's a continuous cycle of the yin and yang movements. So as the energy of upper, middle, and lower dantian exchange their placement, the cooler energy continues to move down the front, upper, middle, lower dantian. And as the fire rises through the spine to the top of the head, it continually pushes and drops. Evaporation of this cool energy rises to the top, and then the condensation happening, producing the rain internally, and then descending and gathering in each of these dantians as if they are containers that just catches the raindrops. So continue this process of the cycle of yin and yang, sun and moon, fire and water, energy interaction, circulating from the lower to the upper through the back, and then down through the front, and this very gentle flow of this alchemical energy that changes from yin to yang, yang to yin. And as you feel this movement, it is now a current. And this current is chi, energy current. And just as we feel the current of chi flow within our being, we also experience the current outside of our being in the form of a gentle wind or gentle breeze. So in fact, this dynamic interaction between sun and moon, water and fire energy creates a gentle wind that then spreads a fertile, positive, regenerative energy throughout the planet, throughout the universe. And this is how the power of regeneration is created in our environment. And we can do exactly the same within our being. And now that you have experienced the production of rain or nectar within your being, it is time to return your chi. So in your upper dantian, you gather the energy back, and then move on to your middle dantian, and you gather up this energy, And then in your lower abdomen, gather up the energy of sun and moon, fire, water, yin and yang, back to the dantian where you found it. And it is this practice of harmony, balance, and of dynamic interaction that we have control over. Instead, out in nature where you have no control, but you can control the energies within your being and your life. We find balance and harmony. And this beautiful expression of the sun, the moon, the stars, the rain, and the wind. And now we shall conclude by awakening our eyes and rub our hands together, cupping our eyes. And you can now slowly open your eyes. Okay. And now this will conclude Pillar 1 of Level 3, symbiosis with the sun, the moon, and the production of rain. Now would be time to ask any questions if you have. I will turn it over to Olivia.
Thank you, Dr. Mao. We had a beautiful comment uh, from Stephanie, I'm sorry, from Lisa in the comments um, about being drawn to all forms of rain and rain dances. And this is such a beautiful internal expression of the nature that we're all one with. So we have a few minutes. Are there any questions before we close our meeting? I know many of us will go into the next meeting with Dr. Dow.
I've got a question.
Yes, Dan.
Is so, say you have someone like myself who I'm working with, would there be, a particular emotion or feeling that this meditation would be tonifying for?
It's a very good question. Can you hear me okay? Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. All right. So Dan, this practice is actually quite regenerative. So when you talk about tonifying, obviously, it's very appropriate for anyone who's in a weakened state or adrenal burnout, particularly,
Okay.
someone who's kidney adrenal deficient, but also someone who's really like devastated, by crisis and, where literally it's like a plant that's wilting. And so one of the best things you can do is to give it some water.
Right. Right.
So there you
Good.
go.
Good for lots of things.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Dr. Mao, I have a question. Um, is um, is this the Knee family version of the harmonization of Con and Lee?
No, not necessarily, because that's a distinct practice we'll be doing. Um, and as well as in ATP, there's a number of practices in Con and Lee, because it's not, fire and water appears to be very, it really is the root of all processes, right? And so there are multiple practices. This is actually just the beginning stage of it. So more to come.
Hi, it's Lisa.
Oh, hold on one moment, Lisa. Ed, Ed, you're muted. I could tell you were still talking, Ed.
Do you breathe through your mouth, inhale, and out your nose through the entire meditation, or just the beginning?
Through the entire meditation, because this is one of harvesting, and so you're swallowing between each inhale and exhalation. Don't forget to do that.
Hi. Yeah, I apologize. In the beginning, I thought we were really going to make rain, but then I got even more intrigued that we were going to do it internally, because I definitely feel like I need it, and it was just such a wonderful meditation. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. You're not dependent now on the external rain, although I appreciate your comment about rain dance. We are Western region of the United States. We are experiencing tremendous drought. And I do believe that our collective consciousness can make rain. And because this has been done in all traditions around the world, including the Taoist tradition. So it's not just, American Indian tradition where rain dance happens, these rituals, but it can be done. And so the more you practice this internally, the more you have the understanding of how this process occurs. And if you think in that vein, we're right on the coast. We got all this water. Why isn't that happening? Where's the blockage? And so you can begin to understand and appreciate what is necessary for that process to take place. And so go work on it.
Thank you so much. It's awesome. Thank you. I definitely want to do that as well as this. Thanks.
Any other questions before we close our meeting? So I will be sending you the written form of this today, because in our new schedule, we have our Q&A in 1 week. And this actually benefits us a lot, because you'll be able to have a week of practice and then have your questions answered, so that you can launch into another 3 weeks of practice, really feeling certain and clear about what you're practicing. Dr. Mao, will you close our meeting? If there aren't any more questions.
Oh, well, it's very simple. Well, first of all, I'm very inspired by your dedication. So thank you, and keep practicing. We're going to have a wonderful year, or in this level 3 ahead of us. And there's more fun practices to come. So I hope you really enjoyed this, because it's something that, as I mentioned earlier, it's regenerative. So you will see the benefit with it very quickly. So, and I hope you all become juicy again.
Thank you, Dr. Mel. Thank you, everyone. Feel free to unmute yourself if you'd like to say ciao.
Goodbye and thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, you plums.